What's up, everybody? My name is Lee Bartow, and today I'm here to teach you how to make a great steak every time you hit the kitchen. With that being said, let's get straight to this. This is Cooking with Style. First off, this method has only 7 ingredients and is useful for many different cuts of meat. For today's steak though, we're going to be using one of my personal favorites, the center cut ribeye, or also known as the Delmonico. Time to get started. Step number 1. When you're at the grocery store or your local butcher, you want to look for steaks that have a higher marble content. Marbling is intermuscular fat that gives a great steak juiciness factor. Don't be afraid of the fat inside of the meat. Fat is flavor. Step number 2. You want to allow your steak to relax at room temperature for about 20 minutes. The reason for this is if you place an ice cold steak into a hot pan or onto a hot grill, you will drop the surface temperature of your pan or your grill. And in that case, you're not going to get a good sear and that crust that you really desire. Also, on top of that, you're going to purge some of the excess moisture that's inside of the steak, and it's going to actually shallow poach it in your pan, or all that juice is going to roll right out. Step number 3, you want to give your steak a healthy seasoning of kosher salt or sea salt and black pepper. Don't be afraid to season it when it comes down to this point, because all that's going to do is draw the moisture out and allow you to get a better crust when you're cooking. Make sure that you cover all the edges as well as that top fat with all the excess that's on your board or on your plate. And now you're going to want to let this rest again for about another 8 to 10 minutes at room temperature, and you're going to see that it's going to pull some of the excess moisture out of this steak so we get a nice crispy steak. Step number 4. Now you're going to start heating your pan to about 3/4 of the heat on the gas range or electric range. That way you're going to allow it to heat up for about 4 to 5 minutes so you can get yourself a nice even sear. While the pan is heating, pat the steak dry with a towel and season it again lightly. You don't have to go too crazy with the salt and pepper, but just enough. You want the steak as dry as possible so you achieve a nice crust when you cook it. Step number 5. Once your pan is evenly hot, put about 1 tablespoon of olive oil in your pan. I like to use a blended oil that has corn and olive. Olive is for flavor and the corn is for a higher smoke point, so your meat sears at a higher temperature without burning. Step number 6. Sear the steak for 3 to 4 minutes and do not move it around. Just be patient and let it sear and create the crust. After your first side, flip it and repeat. If your steak has a large top fat, you want to sear and render that as well. Once you get about 2 minutes into your second turn, you want to add a sprig of fresh rosemary and a few sprigs of fresh thyme. Now throw in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter and allow it to heat the herbs. Now for the fun part. Once your herbs and your butter have melted together, you want to tilt the pan slightly towards you and baste the steak, fully covering it constantly for 1 to 2 minutes, just to infuse that with that nutty herb butter flavor. Step number 7. Take it out of the hot pan, put it back on a board, and allow it to rest for about 5 to 7 minutes. That way it allows the juices to lock back into that meat. You also want to reserve that delicious brown butter that you cooked that steak in for dipping later. Step number 8, the final frontier. All we gotta do is slice, serve it, and dip it in that delicious brown butter. Make sure you enjoy what you've just created and keep cooking with style. Thanks again for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section down below. Don't forget to hit that like button and hit the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my current content.